Meghalaya is defined by its dramatic geography, a landscape of deep, mist-covered valleys and rolling green hills that have earned it a reputation as the Scotland of the East. Within these forests, indigenous communities have spent centuries engineering the landscape. By training the roots of rubber trees to grow across rivers, they've created living bridges that strengthen over time, functioning as a seamless part of the ecology. This relationship with nature has produced some of the cleanest waterways on Earth, like the Daki River, where the water is so transparent that boats appear to be drifting through empty air. For decades, the state's culture and its growing tourism economy have relied entirely on the preservation of this specific, fragile ecosystem. But that image was recently interrupted by a series of viral videos showing a different kind of cloud rising over the jungle. Hidden within one of these forested valleys, a massive industrial complex is now operating, emitting heavy plumes of smoke directly into the surrounding canopy. This has created a sudden friction, a debate over whether this is the price of regional industrialization or a sign that the valley's air is being permanently altered. This single site represents a collision between Meghalaya's natural heritage and the arrival of modern, high-output industrial development. The site is the Umiam distillation plant, part of a larger government-backed initiative called the Unity Scheme, which aims to bring rapid industrial growth to the Northeast. The factory's primary function is to process regional agricultural surpluses, specifically rice and maize, and convert them into ethanol. This process is part of a national strategy. Blending this ethanol into petrol creates a fuel that burns cleaner, lowering the country's overall carbon emissions. On paper, it's a sustainable loop, offsetting carbon nationally while providing a reliable market for local farmers. This was the vision presented to the public, an environmentally friendly project designed to empower the local economy through green energy production. In border towns like Birmingham, the geography that makes the state beautiful traps the factory's output, holding industrial smog within the narrow valleys. Locals have reported a steady decline in air quality and a sudden contamination of the streams that once provided the village with clean water. The human impact is visible in local clinics, where cases of asthma and respiratory distress increased, while farmers now spend their days scrubbing layers of soot off their vegetables. It is a stark irony. The production of a fuel intended to lower national pollution is directly affecting the health of the people living closest to the factory gates. From an economic perspective, the factory is defended as a necessity. The state needs to generate its own industrial revenue to function independently. The plant operates its own 3.5 megawatt cogeneration system and provides hundreds of jobs to a local workforce that previously had few industrial options. The region's growing population, seen in the expansion of cities like Shillong, requires more than an untouched landscape. It requires modern infrastructure and a stable tax base to support its citizens. Currently, Meghalaya relies heavily on central government funding, and developing internal industries is seen as the only way to lift the region out of poverty. This creates a tension between two urgent needs: the requirement for economic survival through industrial jobs and the immediate impact those industries have on the community's health. This local dispute is a window into a larger challenge facing the entire country. There is an aggressive political mandate to transform India into a $5 trillion global economy as quickly as possible. Yet this drive for rapid growth often occurs in the same regions that house India's most critical and vanishing ecological zones. This map shows industrial expansion moving into protected areas, from the Western Ghats to the Himalayas. The risk is when the financial benefits are eventually outweighed by the long-term cost of a collapsed local ecosystem. Without transparent environmental oversight, the pursuit of regional wealth can unintentionally degrade the very environment it was meant to improve. For now, the lush cliffside and waterfalls of Meghalaya remain, though they now sit in the shadow of new industrial stacks. The next 10 years will reveal whether the UNATI scheme can deliver its economic promises without allowing this pollution to spread further into the hills. It leaves us with a question of value: how to measure the prosperity of a region when its economic growth begins to cloud the very air its people breathe. The future of these hills depends on whether this factory becomes a model for sustainable industry,
or a sign that the abode of clouds is being replaced by a different kind of haze.